So this is the topic of relative class is clear. It will help you in all your reading, writing, listening, and speaking modules. It's very important. Most of the time, students are not aware of relative classes because the topics clear what we will study now after this will help you in all your four modules. So still we have a week clear till Eid holidays. So what actually I'm more interested in studying about these topics because these topics will help you in writing, reading, listening, and speaking as well. Okay, let's talk about relative classes and why relative classes are the easiest part to achieve 7 plus band and Ielts. So one of clear of all the complex structures in academic English, relative classes are the simplest, safest, and most reliable way to lift your Ielts writing task 2 essay from 6.5 to 7 plus band and from 7 to 8 band. They appear naturally in every type of essay, and three correct relative classes and 270 word clear essay particularly guarantee you 7 plus band and IELTS GRA, grammatical range and accuracy. So what are relative classes? We will study them one by one. Relative class is a group of words that add extra information about a noun. Relative classes add extra information about a noun. You do understand that to modify a noun, we use adjectives. Clear? Or even we can use a relative class to add extra information about a noun. It is introduced by relative pronoun to add clear extra information, to add extra information about a noun. We introduce a relative pronoun, and these are relative pronouns. Who, these some are relative pronouns. Who, which, that, whose, where, and when. And it always sits next to the noun. Immediately after a noun, they are used. We will study them one by one. So who, which, that, whose, where, when, all these six, clear, we call them relative pronouns. And when we use them in a class, so we call them relative classes. How to use them, I'm going to teach you step by step. Here what I have used, how relative classes lift your band. For example, if there is anyone, clear, any of the students, if he doesn't use any relative classes in a sentence, so it means he will achieve not more than 5 band and GRA, grammatical range and accuracy. If there is someone who attempts clear but often with errors, so he may score 6. And if there is a student, clear, he knows how to use 2 to 3 correct relative classes, clear, defining only, there are 2 relative classes. Number 1, defining and non-defining. Later on, we will study about them. So he can score 7. And if someone who knows how to use 3 plus, so he can use 8 band. Or if there is anyone mix of all 6 pronouns, clear, so he can straight away you get 9 band and IELTS writing GRA. So let's talk about them. Let's take some of the example. The first one, what is a relative class? A relative class adds extra information about a noun, as I told you, and that noun we call it antecedent, clear, and it works like mini description plunged into a sentence. Let's start taking 2 examples. For example, the first one, students perform better, and the second one, who study consistently. So now can you see who? This is what I call relative class, who. How we can combine both of them? We combine and we may write in this way. Students who study consistently perform better. Now, can you see? In this sentence, I have used relative class. And as I told you, clear, relative class must come immediately after the noun it describes. It must come, clear, after the noun it describes. Now, in this case, we have a noun students. So now students, we have used a noun, and after students, clear, we have relative pronoun that is who. So students who study consistently perform better. In this case, who is a relative class to modify to describe what? Students. Without the noun, without the noun. Relative class cannot stand alone. Look, we use pronoun instead of a noun. If there is no noun, so relative class cannot stand alone without, because if you don't have any students here, if you remove students, so if you don't have students, so who cannot stand alone? Then it is always attached to main class. Let's study them in detail now. This is the complete 6 relative pronouns list. These are 6 relative pronouns. The first one, who, which, that, whose, where, and when. These 6 are relative pronouns. And who refers to people, which refers to things and ideas, that refers to people or things, whose, position, where, places, when, time periods. What I mean actually, defining and non-defining. Let me explain it a bit. Look, for example, if I want to write down, non-defining means non-essential. If something that is not necessary, if something we want to use and they are not necessary, what messages? Yes, bache, they are available in the book. Non-essential means what? Non-defining. If something that is not essential, but if you want to add, no problem for that. For example, let me write down Farid Safi. If I put comma, Farid Safi, Claire, the founder of Safi Ielts Studio, comma, lives in Peshawar. Now let's start taking. Can you see here? I have added some information, and the information I put here, it's non-essential, like not even we don't need it. Even if I remove this, Claire, so yet my sentence conveys full message. Look at this. Farid Safi, Claire lives in Peshawar. But if I want to add some extra information like this, Farid Safi, the founder of Safi Art Studio. So we have put comma first, before this non-essential information, and after non-essential information. And then after this, we can use verb. So defining clause mean that's essential information. And non-defining means what? Information that is not essential. Let me clear you now. If you want to use who, the first one, so who we can use for defining and non-defining, both. Students, who. Which we can use for both, defining and non-defining. Let's take example here. Renewable energy, which is now cheaper than coal, is the future. Now, can you see this is non-defining? Why? Because we have put what? Comma before and after this. And I have used relative pronoun here. So this is what we call non-defining relative class. And the first one, like we don't have comma, so this is called defining relative class. The second one, that. That is the only one that only we can use for defining, not non-defining. It cannot be used with commas. That cannot be used with commas. Like for example, policies. What type of policies? That comes immediately after policies. Ignore inequality often fail. Whose? Both. Defining and non-defining. Workers. It comes straight away after this. Now it's defining. Whose jobs are automated, face urgent retraining. And then we have where. It is used for place, for both. Cities, where. Look, you want to write down about any public transportation, so you can say cities where public transportation is reliable. Can you see? I have used what? Relative class. Is reliable. See lower car ownership. And when we use for time, it can be used for both defining and non-defining. The 1990s was a decade. It refers to time. When globalization accelerated. So if any of the student who knows how to use these relative pronouns really help them to uplift their score. You can score high you can achieve high band if you know how to use relative pronouns. Let's explain it a bit more one by one. What I mentioned here, the big two, the big two. 80% of your IELTS writing task 2 relative class will use just who and which. These two. Like in writing task 2, we use two of them. Which for things and who for people. Master these first, then add the other for range. But first of all, you should know how to use that and which. Sorry, who and which. The first one, let's study about the first part, and that is called who. Relative class for people. Who introduces relative class that describes people? Group of people, students, workers, citizens, or parents. Anything that's related to people, we can use who. Suppose the first usage for defining, identifying which people you mean. The first part, identify which people do you mean. For example, children. Clear who? Children who grow up in a supportive families tend to thrive. Workers who lack digital skills face shrinking job markets. Citizens who participate in election shape national policy. So now if you just focus them, so all of them, they are what? They are defining relative classes. And we have used right after what? Right after nouns. Children, workers, right after nouns, we have used them. And the second one, as I mentioned earlier, number 2, usage number 2, add extra info about a known person, non-defining with commas. Defining is without comma, but non-defining is with commas. That's with commas. So make sure you understand. And defining one is, I told you, clear, that's important one. But non-defining, that's adding extra info about a known person. If you want to add it. If you don't want to add, no problem. But the person whom you want to talk about, that is known to others. Let's start taking examples. For example, the first one, Einstein, who developed the theory of relativity. Now, can you see who developed? Now, we have used with comma, the first one. And after that, again, comma, transformed modern physics. Now, can you see we have put anyone who knows how to use defining and non-defining relative pronouns can quite easily achieve high band and IELTS. But if you don't know how to use them, then the next one. My mother, you talk about that, who worked as a teacher for 25 years. Don't you think like extra information we have provided? Non-essential information. That's why we put commas. And we have used relative pronoun here. My mother valued educational above all. My grandmother valued education about all. But you have put extra information, additional information, some non-essential information. And that's what this non-essential information, we call that what? We call non-defining, and non-defining one is always with what? With commas. And how to put them? The first part, we use after a noun, comma, and before verb. Can you see here is a verb? Before comma. So this portion is what? This portion is called non-defining relative class. And if you want to know about this, what you can do, you can use the structure. First of all, subject of class, who plus verb. Who plus verb. Now, this is who plus verb. Can you see who study? So after who, we straight away use what? Verb. We can use object of class. So if that's object of class, so what we can do, we can use whom for object. But now in modern English, Claire, we only use what? Who. No need of using whom. For both, like, in modern English, we don't use whom, only we use who. Whom plus who or whom, both are correct. Subject plus verb. The teacher, can you see? Whom. Whom students. So then after this, we use students. Because it's an object. Subject is already mentioned. Whom students respect shape their futures. Whom is technically correct is the object form, but in modern writing, who is accepted, clear, in both positions. Stick to who It's safer. If you don't understand, so just only use who. After this, we can use which. Relative class for things. Uh, Second one, that is which. Again, it's a relative class for things, ideas, and whole class, which is the most powerful relative pronoun in academic English. You will find which everywhere in Ielts reading. Everywhere you will have which. Uh, this which, Claire, you may see in reading and you should know how to use it in writing as well because it can refer to three different antecedents. Number one, things or concepts. If there is anything or if there is any concept, so we refer which. For example, renewable energy. This is the topic. Which is now cheaper than coal. Can you see it's non-defining relative pronoun? Why? Because even if I don't use it, I can say renewable energy is the future of power. But now we have added some extra information. दलता किता सुगुर यहाँ पे देखे कि हमने कुछ extra information and essential information यहाँ पे add किए. So that's why we have put comma before and after that. And this is what we call non-defining relative pronoun. अब इसमें देखे policies. अब ये thing है, but now this is the concept. Policies. Which? Can you see? This is defining. Which? What policies? Which? Clear? Prioritize what? Inequality tend to succeed. So we can use for both things and concept. Then we can use it for specific countries. We use it for organization and institutions like Germany. We have used Germany, which abolished tuition fee in 2014. Can you see it's non-essential information? SAR rising and enrollment. Like before, Germany used to charge fee, but when they abolish, they don't charge it. So now there is a significant increase in enrollments. So this is like what we have used non-defining relative pronoun. Then we have another one, the United Nations, which was found in 1995. Don't you think like it's an additional information we have added? Coordinates global cooperation. The third one, we also use it referring back to a whole preceding class for nine-band use. When you want to clear comment on the entire previous statement, use which after comma. Then in that case, we use what? Just only comma. For example, look, this is the entire class we have modified. Many young people leave school at 16. Don't you think like it's a complete sentence? It's a complete sentence. We haven't added like the previous one. अब यहाँ पे देखे ये noun है तो noun एक noun के बारे में हमने additional information add कर दिया तो that's why we have put it in two commas कि ये non essential information है we have already introduced it here. लेकिन अगर अब इसमें देखें यहाँ पे तो जुमले के दरमियान हमने नहीं ऐड किया ना वी हैवंट एडेड इन बिटवीन अ सेंटेंस लेकिन हमने पहले सबसे पहले हमने पूरे जुमले को यहाँ पे लिख दिया फिर उसी क्लास से हम इफ दैट क्लास वी वांट टू रेफर बैक टू द होल दिस क्लास इसी मुकम्मल क्लास को अगर हम दोबारा रेफर करना चाहते हैं सो व्हाट वी डू फर्स्ट कामा use first of all comma and then after that you can do what which limits their future earning potential. अब ये एक जुमला है तो इस जुमले को मॉडिफाई करने के लिए हमने रिलेटिव क्लास लगा दिया द सेकेंड वन तो ये दूसरा वाला जो विच वाला क्लास है ये पहले वाले को क्या कर रहे हैं रेफर्स टू द प्रीवियस वन अब एयर पोल्यूशन हैज रीच रिकॉर्ड लेवल्स which has alarmed clear scientist word. So this is like this comma plus which pattern is rare in candidate writing. Use it once per essay and you signal band 8 plus control. Straight away आपकी जो writing grammar portion है वो straight away like you get high band in it. So make sure you understand that how to use all these three. लेकिन ये पहले वाले दोनों में मतलब फर्क क्या है फर्क ये है कि यहाँ पे हमने सिर्फ एक नाउन को मॉडिफाई किया यहाँ पे हमने पूरे जुमले को द कंप्लीट क्लियर द होल क्लास वी हैव modified that. Is that clear? Any questions so far?
Yes, sir.
यस सर।
अच्छा, तो जरूरी
सर
ये है कि आप
ये
लोगों ने,
पूरे ऐसे में एक दफा लिखना होगा?
मतलब आप लोग को मैंने यहाँ पे ऊपर लिखा है, देखिए, आई मेंशन्ड है, ये रीड करें। अगर आपको, आपने बिल्कुल इस्तेमाल नहीं किया तो आपकी ग्रामर रेंज जो है वो 5 तक आ सकता है। अगर आपने एक अटेम्प्ट कर दिया वो भी मिस्टेक्स तो 6 तक, दो तीन यूज करे तो 7। और अगर आप ज्यादा इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, यू नो हाउ टू यूज देम, सो देन यू कैन लाइक इट इंक्रीजेस योर स्कोर। क्योंकि स्ट्रक्चर मजबूत हो रहा है ना, क्योंकि आपको ज्यादातर स्कोर किस चीज के बुनियाद पे मिल रहे हैं? स्ट्रक्चर्स। सो द स्ट्रॉन्गर द स्ट्रक्चर्स, द बेटर योर, द हायर योर। हेलो।